Hi friends, today we are going to see the case study of Nike and how did the idea of Nike came up in the market and how did it make its own presence in the market. Nike was founded on 1962 by Philip Knight and Bill Bowerman in the USA. It was initially known as Blue Ribbon Sport. They focused on providing high quality shoes for athletes designed by athletes. Okay, so these shoes were actually designed by athletes and they were only for athletes, okay, athletic people. They produce a wide range of sport equipments. Their first equipment were track running shoes. So the shoes that people wear by running the sprints, they those were their initial shoes. Okay, and this is the image of Philip Knight and Bill Bowerman. Nike believed in the concept of pyramid of influence, in which the preference of a small percentage of top athlete influenced the brand choice and the product. So, if you don't know what the pyramid of influence, I will tell you. The pyramid of influence means that the pyramid that you can see here, assume that this is the amount of consumers. For example, the poorest consumers are in a lot of amount. That means there are many people who are poor and very less people who are richest than the richer. Okay, so so the poor people, they just know about the brand, they just hear about it, and very few they exactly know what the brand is all about. The others don't even know. The people who are in the I like it stage, they actually know about the brand, they have seen people using it, they know how it feels, they know their its importance. The people who are in I love it category, they actually are the people who can afford to buy such branded things, and they can afford to wear it as a luxury. And the people who comes in the I live it concept, I live it segment, they are actually the people who use such products in their day-to-day basis. It is not a luxury for them, but a lifestyle. Okay, so this is the pyramid of influence that Nike decided that they will focus only on the top athlete people. That means they will focus on they will focus on tying up with people who are in the topmost I live it category. Okay, so that their influence will fall upon to the major category, so that the it is convergent. Sorry, divergent. Business strategy. Business strategy is what? Positioning, market expanding, customer loyalty, inspire the customer with a mission. Positioning. Now we will see how did they position their product in the market. In case we are selling any product or services which is also sold by our competitors, in such a case, company has to focus on the market segment and consumer demand to become a lead factor. Market expanding. Okay, we'll come here again. In case we are selling any product or service which is sold by a competitor, that means if there is one or more competitors in the market selling the same product, in such a case, company has to focus on market segmentations. That means if two companies, two or more rival companies are there who are selling the same kind of product or service, obviously everybody will want to have their own profit, so they will have their own unique selling proposition, which will make them stand out of the competition that is available in the market. This will ultimately lead to people choosing them over others. For example, if we take mobile industry, or we can take shoes industry, as we are discussing about Nike. If we take shoes, there were also other shoes companies there were there, like Reebok, Adidas, Nike, and other all the other shoes companies were there. But they really wanted to stand out, so they focused on segmenting the market based on the consumer behavior, like which consumer they actually want to focus on. Okay, so this was their ultimate goal and ultimate idea to become the market leader. In case of mobile phones, as we were discussing, similarly, every mobile phone company decides to give something or the other special to the users, so that the users stick to them and they do not go out to any other company. Market expanding. According to Philip Knight, for a better market expand, the starting point of any business should be from a small segment. That means that the ideology of Philip Knight was to first focus on one small segment, win the hearts of those people, and then move on to others. What happens is, if people of the small segment really like the work, really like the product, the mouth publicity also happens, and this mouth publicity further tends to become a good thing for them. Customer loyalty. This leads to customer loyalty and customer retention. Okay, there should be loyalty and empathy by the company to customer for understanding their problems and needs. Because if the company thinks about customer, then the customer will also think about their product. That means customer is the king. As we all know, customer is the king. Whatever it is, the company has to move around the customer only to win the hearts of people. Because if it happens that the customer buys one product, if he does not like it, he makes a complaint, and if the company does not respond to it in a positive manner, then definitely the customer will tend to move on to a competitor, and this will in a long run will be very harmful to your own company. So you should always remember that you have to think about the customer, only then the customer will think about the product, and that will ultimately lead benefit to the company. Inspire the customer with a mission. Okay, so Philip Knight presented his product with a mission which inspired the customer to use his product and become a successful businessman in the world market. Spokesperson work. So spokesperson something is first of all, spokesperson is someone who chooses to speak on behalf of someone. That means an influencer. A leader, an influencer is someone who helps a company grow better. In terms of audience, in terms of getting into audience mind, because people love influencer, and influencer, if he or she is using something, they will ultimately go and buy it. In 1985, Nike signed up their first spokesperson, Michael Jordan. He personified a superior performance. The Air Jordan, made specially for basketball sport, flew off the shelves, and they made a profit of over 100 million. That means, as because a lot of people were fan of Michael Jordan. He was a basketball player, and because of this, initially they were just into track running shoes. Now they just came into basketball shoes called Air Jordan. They launched Air Jordan with the tie-up with Michael Jordan, and then soon as this campaign was launched, the shoes were just bought off, and the sport flew the shelves, and that is how they made a profit of over 100 million. Nike's game-changing era was in the year 1985, when Nike finally came up with their first ad and introduced the tagline "Just Do It" to the world. That means before this, they didn't even have a specific tagline. They didn't even without even a tagline, they had so much which had impacted the world. This challenged a generation of athletic enthusiasts to chase their goals. Nike, that means it was also inspirational to the current enthusiast. Nike then expanded to Europe from USA. At that time, US based ads were considered to be very aggressive in Europe. So, because every country has their own culture, their own ideology. So even the brand strategy from country to country, from a geographical region to region, it has to be varied. Because in some country, if something is said to be polite, said to be sweet, the other country does not accept it at all in the same manner which the previous country is accepting. So similar thing happened with Nike. US based advertisements were considered to be very aggressive, but they were considered to be very bad, negative in Europe, because European have a different sort of culture as compared to the US based ads. They had to authenticate their ad there. That means they had to reproduce their ad there as that it is suitable for the Europe. Okay. So they focused on football sponsorship, active sponsorship of youth league, local clubs, and national teams. So they also focused on the sponsorship things, which is football and other activities that will make them come more and more into the eyes of people. Nike's win in international market. Nike focused its efforts on international market, especially China, during 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. Although Nike's rival Adidas was the official sponsor of the Olympic Games, there Nike received special permission from International Olympic Committee to run ads during the game. In 1994, a Brazilian team, the only team with the official sponsorship of Nike, had won the World Cup. The victory transformed Nike's image in Europe from a sneaker company into a brand that represented emotions, elegance, and identification. This helped Nike reach other parts of the world and launch into international market over the next decade. By 2003, revenues overseas surpassed the total revenue generated in US for the first time. So you can see how Nike went on with their strategy of moving from step by step to people and reaching the global market. Now, what are the questions in the case study? The first question was, what are the pros and cons and risks associated with Nike's core marketing strategy? Okay, and if the second was, if we were Adidas, how would we compete with Nike? So these questions are very subjective. I have found out these answers according to my own research and analysis. What I have understood, you may have some other answers to it, and you can definitely submit your answers in the comment box. I will be very happy to read it and know about the other perspective that people have with the same case study that I am reading. Please drop in your comments. Thank you. So the answer number one is to the pros and cons and risks associated with Nike's core strategy. Marketing in an age of turbulence is very crucial. Looking at the current scenario, Nike seems to be very well versed with the business within business strategy and is focusing well on its core market segment and is also successfully grabbing the attention of new customers too. But it should be aware of the new players which are entering the market and in the same field as they are. The second answer is Adidas needs to do market research to better understand consumers' wants and needs. The company just cannot produce goods without knowing what people expect from them. Adidas also needs to consider the untouched, untapped market in the older in order to generate more revenues and reach far wide customers. Last but not the least, they should also revise their company's mission vision in order to align better all activities towards one and the other same goal. In all efforts are directed to a common goal, there would be minimal reason to fail. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to Web Entry News.